What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Dead Noise. I'm Chris, and thanks to the power of Zoom, I am here with the bassist of the band Gore, Mr. Devin Birchfield. How you doing, man?
Good. Happy to be here, dude.
First things first, with the release of your debut EP, A Bud That Never Blooms, just recently came out, if I remember correctly, it was like the end of October.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
well, congratulations on that, by the way.
Oh yeah.
How
Thank
has
you.
the reception been so far? Because I know you had I know Doomsday, Prey, and was it Babylon? Those were the first three singles to come out.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So with the last two, Angels Like You and Heavens Above Me, which ironically enough are my two favorites, how has the reaction been to the EP and everything?
I mean, it's just been incredible. It's just been like an outpour of love, really, which has just been like so cool to like see that on like our first release, especially because we've been sitting on these songs for, over a year at this point. So it felt really good to like get those out in the wild and just to like see people as psyched as we were, like when we first heard the song. So no, it's just been really cool to just have it out there and just the overwhelming amount of support we've gotten.
Now, as far as the release strategy goes, if I'm not mistaken, Heavens Above Me was the first song you guys ever wrote. If I'm remembering right. But that's also like the last song on the EP, and
Hmm.
if memory serves, it's the last one to like come out officially. So what was the
Yeah.
strategy of like trying to pick what songs to release first?
We knew we wanted it to flow right, but also like just in the way that we release the songs, we wanted people to sort of get a different flavor, of kind of what we have in store. And so with Prey, starting with that one, we felt that was a good one because it showed a lot of our sides. It showed the heavy stuff as well as the pretty stuff.
Yeah.
And then as well as just like, I mean, the band name's in there too, and it has a lot of the imagery that the band was about in the lyrics of that song too. So that was definitely very strategic of like coming out with that one. And then Doomsday following that, we wanted to like pull out the ballad after that, like the slow burn, because Prey is like immediate drum fill riffs, But Doomsday was kind of like, okay, like here's like the kind of ballady side of us,
Mm.
you know.
It's
And
such a big song. Like it's always hard to explain to people. Sometimes it's like, oh, this song just sounds big. That's how I feel
yeah,
about Doomsday, especially when the chorus hits. Oh my God, it's just so good.
yeah. No, I mean it's incredible. I mean, really are like our producers, writers we've worked with, Caleb and Ben, like they're just really good at like making a huge sound. And then Cody Stewart with our mix and master too. He just like took it to the stratosphere.
Now, what I know somebody who works with Caleb and Ben, the goat Nate from Mirror Cell. He
Yeah.
he has nothing but good things to say about them. So I'm curious, like, what your guys' relationship is like with them. Like, just how's the working relationship, and what's it like to write with them?
Yeah, I mean, writing with them and like other producers is kind of cool because like it's like having temporary band members, I guess is like
Mm,
the best way I can like kind of high level describe it. Is like it's not just you guys trying to throw your ideas on paper, like you have them in there too. Like they're pulling from their songwriting experience, their production experience, and it's just like it was a super fun environment working with them as well. Like it's just goofy environment, and yeah, it was just a pleasure. We wrote with them earlier this year, and that was my first time like being in the room with them because I kind of hopped on a little later with the first EP. A lot of those are demoed by the time I hopped on. So
mm.
like I got like videos from Caleb and Ben, and like I did all my bass tracking at home. But when we went to St. Louis in February, we all got to like be in the room with them, and it was really it was just an incredible process seeing like these songs start to finish, kind of like seeing how the sauce is made, in person.
Yeah, I was gonna ask because if I'm not mistaken, aren't the three of you guys like all in different states or something like that?
Yeah, Haley and Alex are in Texas. Will's is in New Jersey. I'm in Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how is it difficult at all to like create music together like all remotely, or is that where it's nice to have a chance to like find a chunk of time where you guys can all meet somewhere like St. Louis, and just wait till you guys are all in person?
I mean, it can be somewhat, I guess, a little more difficult to work with each other, but also like just living in the age of the internet when you can like record stuff at home and whatnot.
Hmm.
Like it's not that big of a deal. I would say like the biggest thing is like rehearsing because you all have to be in the same place. That's a little tougher to schedule, but as far as writing goes, like we can just bounce ideas because all of us like we know well we have enough knowledge to like record our own demos and whatnot and toss them around. So we've been doing a lot of that the past couple months. And then I guess because we live far apart when we do get together, like the bright side of that is when we do it together, like it's just I don't know, it feels incredible because you don't get that much time together.
It's like a family
So
reunion.
yeah, yeah.
Now as far as the EP itself goes, I number one, I love the artwork and I love the kind of aesthetic that you guys have as a band. Because it's
Mhm.
very different from like what you see from like the metalcore scene and like what's traditionally the aesthetic. Like it looks nothing like the shirt I'm wearing.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so as far as the artwork goes for the EP, like how specific was the vision for that? And do you know who did it and like what the vision was for it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we were very intentional about it because we knew we wanted to bring in this like kind of uncomfortable sludgy element along with like femininity and stuff like that, like the floral imagery and whatnot. So we're definitely very intentional with that, with the color palettes we worked with, blacks, pinks, stuff like that. And so artist went to Matthew Collmore. We kind of like we gave him a baseline of like this is like the kind of vision we're going for, and he just like ran crazy with it and would send different ideas to us and whatnot. And so that's kind of how all that came up. But it was definitely like very intentional. That's like sort of the brand we wanted to come out the gate with. Because like, especially for a new band, like the downside of like everyone being able to put stuff out and everything is like there's a ton of competition. It's easy to like get buried. So we're like, okay, how's the best way we can, try to at least like make a statement or at least just like have our own branding, as we come out.
I think it fits very well into just the overall meaning behind the band name itself. And like I love the meaning and everything, but I feel like you can explain it much better than I can because you know it's your band. So
Yeah.
for anyone that doesn't know, like could you explain like the significance of the one word name of the band and the period that comes at the end of it?
Yeah, yeah. So the period kind of just it looks neat, and like logistically it does help separate us and like, Spotify and stuff like that. Because initially I think it was Apple Music forgot the period and we got lumped under like another death metal band or
Oh,
something like that. So I guess there's, side benefit, but like as far as the band name goes, the Gore for us isn't like, crazy blood guts gore like Terrifier or something like that, which is sick. Nothing against that. Love that stuff. But like for us is emotional gore. So it's really about bringing forward those uncomfortable emotions, scenarios, stuff like that, that maybe you don't want to talk about, but it's kind of like giving life to those emotions through song.
a lot of the bands are really good at like masking like negative emotions and thoughts with like uplifting sounding music. Like you look at bands like Senses Fail and Alkaline Trio, that's like their bread and butter.
Hmm.
But I think you guys just do it in such a way. It's like looking at songs like Doomsday and Heavens Above Me, like you write about very real things and things that happen, and it's just like there's no not that there's no room for interpretation, but it's like, no, this is what's going on, and this is like
Yeah.
how we feel about. I love that thing. I love that about you guys. Um,
Yeah. It's just
so
like it's bringing that emotion for one, like talking about it, and then just like we're gonna make sure you feel it too.
yes, exactly. There's
Yeah.
like that thing of like it's okay to not be okay, and it's
Yeah.
like allowing yourself to be vulnerable or to feel vulnerable. That's something that like I think a lot of bands like preach it, but they don't practice it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
But you guys like I said to a previous interview guest, like you guys walk the walk, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, it's just really like we just want to like, all the guardrails are off. Like, if there's emotion out there, like I want someone to like feel that as strongly as possible. Because like for me, like that's some of the things I love about music is like anything that's super intense emotionally, like those are the things that I like really connect with. And
Same.
so for me, it's been kind of cool to like see others sort of latch onto it too. Cause like I've gotten some messages from folks that are like, hey, this song helped me through like XYZ scenario. And to me, I'm just like, dang, I was like, that's insane that like, the music is helping people in that sort of a way. We're just enjoying it.
Well, that's a really good point too, because I'm sure you can count. you can lose count of how many times like music has had an impact on your life. I know I can, like I've lost count at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
So like to be on the receiving end of that now with your band and this music, like how does that feel?
I don't know how to put it because like it's all music's always been like such a personal thing for me that like I never sort of expected something that I put out or whatever to like impact someone like the way some of this music has. Like it's been sort of surreal, I guess, in that sense.
Do you struggle with imposter syndrome at all?
Oh yeah, dude. Like things are like going away through like the stratosphere, like trajectory and everything, and I'm just like, I don't know. I tracked the bass in my bedroom. Now I'm here. Like
See,
but like I mean there's also the point of like there's a bunch of other music stuff like I've done before this and like there's the brand world building stuff like that. So it's like, I gotta like, take credit for some of that stuff that's there. But like, yeah, there's definitely the part of like, dude, I know like 200 people like eons more talented than me, but I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm here.
I love that. Um, Now, as far as, like you said, as far as branding goes and the aesthetic and the live show, for people who haven't seen you live, myself included, what can fans expect from your live show? Or are you guys at the point where you guys can be theatrical in a sense and have a certain matching of the aesthetic that like people see on your album covers to bring in that to the stage?
Yeah, I wouldn't say like we have like the backline production to do that, but like as far as our outfits, how we want to like cater to the set, that's definitely like what we're trying to do. Have like a good stage presence to just help engage the audience. Because at least like when we just did our run, that was like my favorite thing was just like engaging with the audience and whatnot. So, but yeah, definitely like that, the stage outfits too. Um, and then like even like just between the songs, we just wanted like this seamless sort of emotional experience to where people are like connected to it. So like we have like transitions and stuff between the songs. Like once the set starts, it kind of just keeps going until it
Oh,
stops. Yeah, so my brother, he like made some like ambient transitions and little compositions for between them to connect everything. So like it's kind of a cool like flow to the whole set.
that's cool. So it's like
Yeah.
once you press start, you can't stop. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I
Yep,
like
yep.
that.
So like we have little breaks while like that's playing all tune, whatever. But yeah, yeah. No, it's a fun experience and for me it was cool because I hadn't played a live show in like 10 years. So like
Damn.
yeah, so then like my first show with Gore is like on a tour and it's like we're doing like direct support from within the rooms. I was like, I hope I don't biff it, dude. Like, but then like I had practiced a ton at home though. So like as soon as like I started playing, it was like as far as playing goes, I was just like on automatic mode and I was just more worried about putting on a show, having fun with the audience, and stuff like that.
Well, I'm sure at some point it kind of just becomes muscle memory, regardless of how long you've done it. Because like, not a
Yeah.
lot of people know this, but I play bass as a hobby, and
Oh,
like,
nice.
just there are some songs that like I can go months, even years without playing them, but once I start and I pick it back up, I'm like, oh wait, that's how it goes, and it
Yeah.
just it you pick up right where you left off.
Yeah, yeah. Like if you put in like the work practicing and everything, then like once you get up there, it's like for the most part, it's just autopilot. Because I was like, I was like, I hope I don't screw like this section up or this section up, 'cause, like whatever hard riffs here. But I was just like, ding, just wasn't even worried about it. I had like goof ups like here and there, but I just like, like if I goofed up, like I was just immediately back in, neck measure or whatever.
I mean, that's rock and roll though, so it's like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't really
Well,
be mad at it.
yeah. Well, and it's just like I don't even know if anyone even knows. Well, for when I'm playing bass, if I screw up. I don't know if people really know unless you get the nerd in the back, like, actually, like,
See, like I'm normally that guy who stands in the
yeah,
back just with his arms crossed, but like even if somebody messes up, 9 times out of 10, I don't notice. Then I'll talk to them
yeah,
after the show. They're like, "Bro, I don't know." I'm like,
yeah,
"I didn't even know you did that."
yeah, yeah. Well, the thing is, like, I'm putting on a show while I'm up there. Like, dude, I like just bouncing all around. I was like smacking my head stock and Will's cymbals and stuff. So, like, I'm putting up a show on there. So, like, people are gonna see that more than like, oh, hey, I came in late here, you know?
I mean, look,
Yeah, yeah,
it's I think with live shows there's become this standard of perfection, like this expectation of perfection anyway. So like that's where the debate with like backing tracks and all that stuff comes in. But I love when a band screws up. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to blow up anyone's spot, but I saw this band in September and they had a technical difficulty. So like number one, you could tell they were playing live. That was nice. But like they
Yeah.
just kept going while they were trying to fix the issue. And it's like that is so cool. I don't care if it's not exactly like the album, but like to see live adjustments like that is really fun.
Yeah. Well, and like it was kind of cool because it was last December. I saw Meshuggah, and they're like the tightest band that could like possibly be, and like you figure they're like robots up there, but they're one of the songs. Thomas Hanks started playing the wrong song, and he just slowly hit his snare, and they like stopped for a second, and they just like laughed, and I was like, like everyone's human,
Yeah.
as long as you just roll with it. Like they just laughed and then just started on the right song. Jen's made a joke and kept going.
See, I was a band kid too, so like I played trumpet all through middle and high school, and every band director I had, especially when I started playing jazz, they're like, "Look, if you mess up, like the audience won't know." But also, especially this happened with jazz a lot. They're like, "Look, if you play the wrong note, you can play the second time and make it seem like you meant to do it because
Yeah,
it's jazz."
yeah,
And
it's jazz.
I feel like that applies with like rock and metal to a certain degree too, because there is like obviously there are a lot of bands that are very polished, they're very well rehearsed, but
Hmm.
also it's charming to have that like screw up in there to like
Yeah.
because it adds to like that edginess in a way. Um,
Hmm.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like it's human beings up there. Like stuff happens. You can't really do anything about it. You just like you recover and you keep going.
Yeah. So take that, like if you're ever in Jacksonville or Wilmington, North Carolina, and you play a show, if you want to screw up, you can. I will be cheering you on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Now as far as going back to the EP, I really want to know because like you said, you came in kind of late in the
Hmm.
process. So you can answer this either as a fan or a musician or both. What song sticks out to you the most, and which one means the most to you if you can pin it down to one?
Oh man. It's kind of hard. Two of them come to mind. It's hard to pick just one. Pray and Heaven is Above Me. I
Mm,
love both of those songs. Because Pray does like the Deftones shoegaze kind of chorus and like the heavy bits in between, and I'm a sucker for that stuff. And then Heaven is Above Me is just like I also just love a good ballad, you know. And like I just really I love the story of that whole song going through to
yeah,
the end.
yeah, that's a really good choice. Um,
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for ballads too. Like Alice Cooper, he's like the goat to me, and everyone knows him for like "School's Out," "No More Mr. Nice Guy." But he
Yeah.
he's written some of the best ballads ever made, and a lot of people don't realize that. And I'm like, bro, you
Hmm.
you you got to get educated because
Yeah.
he's got some gems that I think a lot of people would love. So yeah, I definitely know where your head's at with that too.
Yeah. 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 I love just a good journey.
Yeah. And with Prey, like you said, it's so musically all over the place.
Hmm.
Which is another thing that I love about your band is that you're very dynamic, both metaphorically and literally, because there are very quiet and
Yeah.
very loud parts. Um, so and that kind of goes into like your inspirations because like I've asked this to probably every musician I've talked to, but especially bands like you and Mirror Cell and the Chain Saint and other people that have a multi-genre-ish sound. Like I'm really curious to know like what all came together for you guys to create the sound that you have. So if you could narrow it down to like a top three, top five for like your biggest influences with Gore. Who would they be?
Oh, it's so tricky. What Loathe is number one. That's like definite, like musically and whatnot. Oh, let's see. Sleep Tokens there too. I know they're like both huge right now, but like, they're
For good
sick.
reason.
Yeah, for good reason. Oh man, it's hard to pick a third. I'm gonna go with maybe Bad Omens. I guess I'm
Mm,
trying to think from Haley's seat, like from a vocal standpoint. It's like maybe vocal delivery and stuff. I think she would pull from that too. Like Sleep Token, there's like the cool songwriting and whatnot. Loathe, like sonically, take a lot of stuff from them. Yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty solid for
Yeah.
like I said, they're all pretty huge, but like for good reason.
Yeah, yeah. It's not my fault it rocks. Like
Yeah, exactly. Um, Now this is probably the bigger question. Is there any sonic territory that you guys like outright won't cover? Like, look, we're never gonna make a country song. We're never gonna do this, never gonna do that. Anything like that?
yeah. Um, it's kind of hard to say. Whatever like speaks to the music and the message we're trying to say, that's just gonna be what we're gonna go for. Whatever helps convey whatever emotion we're after, we're gonna go for it. Sonically, I feel like country's probably not gonna super go there, or like EDM, probably not super gonna go there. But I wouldn't say we have like rigid guardrails, you know?
This is probably a pretty surface level question, and I'm sure every artist on Earth is tired of having to answer this. But like my friend Ken Sledge from Sledgehammer Horror, he always says, "I want people that don't know you to get to know you." So with all of you guys living in different places, how did you guys meet, and what made you guys want to start making music together?
It's kind of funny because yeah, I'm like opposite side of the country from Haley, so it's like, dude, what the heck? So Haley and I, we've actually been like internet buds for like coming up on 10 years ish, something like that.
Wow.
So, because yeah, I think it was in like a metal shit posting group is where we found each other, and like we're both in engineering school too. So, so we kind of like had those kind of like mutual interests, whatever. So we've been kind of like internet buds for a while, and then I saw she put out a feeler for like is anyone interested in a new project? Like I'm sort of suited for this kind of a sound. I was like, oh yeah, it seems like the perfect time to just like do something together. So filmed my audition, put threw my name in the hat, and now I'm here. And then as far as Alex goes, he and Haley have known each other from like just the local music scene in Houston. So that's how
Hmm.
they got connected. And then Will's our drummer. He's actually someone that Spine Farm had suggested because his old band Tooth Grinder was also on Spine Farm.
Okay.
And like when COVID hit, they kind of just like, oh, they like officially disbanded or anything, but just like they had kids and whatnot, and kind of just like slowed down from there. And our rep, he'd been sending him like songs for a while, and then he sent him our stuff, and he's like, dude, this is sick. And so when we needed a fill-in for tour, we hit him up, and he was like, yeah, he's like, I've already been learning the songs, like I'm playing for keeps. And we're just like, oh, sick. Yeah, he was just such an incredible guy and just perfect fit, like just in person and whatnot. It was like instant chemistry, and so we brought him on full time.
Dang. So Spine Farm really came in clutch there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I asked Casey from Deadlands this when I talked with her. Like Spine Farm is one of the best labels out there right now. You got Creeper, you got Black Veil Brides, Varsity,
hmm
you guys. So to be a part of such an eclectic roster, what's at with like your first EP already under your belt in such a short time? How does that feel?
I feel like we talk about the imposter syndrome thing. I feel like that definitely like comes into play there. I'm just like, whoa, like I think Prey had been out for what? I'm trying to see, like 5 months or something like that when they hit us up, and it was just like, holy crap, like we have like two songs out, so like it's really cool that like they like took the chance, they believe in us, they see the vision. So I'm just like I'm super grateful that we get to like be a part of that and be a part of a team like that to like help us realize our own vision.
Oh
Because
yeah.
they're very much like about like what we want to do. They're not trying to like stick their hands in and warp us into something. They're really jazzed about us and like helping us just achieve our vision.
Aside from playing download, because that might be the creme de la creme, but
Yeah.
if you could pin down like a goal for 2025, whether that's like a bucket list item or just something you want to do with the band within the next year, what would that be?
Just I want to play in Michigan with my friends, my family, everyone there. That's like if we can make that happen, that's like my number one. I just want to like do it with friends and everything.
I love that. I think that says a lot. Like especially going overseas and playing the biggest festival. Like I just want to play in my home, like in my home state. Like I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Because like that's what's fun to me. Like I love my family, I love my friends, and I just want to like share the experience with folks, you know?
Now, what's the local scene like where you're at? Because I know here where I'm at in Jacksonville, North Carolina, there's a very active and supportive, like very tight-knit local community. Is it the
Hmm.
same way where you're at?
Yeah, I would say like Michigan as a whole, like has a really awesome metal scene.
Hmm.
Lots of good bands and stuff coming out of here, and even just like me immediately locally in like the Kalamazoo area, like there's a lot of local bands and a good community here as well. Yeah, definitely like super musically inclined, and I'm glad that like I live in a place where like that kind of stuff is happening.
I like that. That's really cool. I'm glad it's not just where I'm at because
Yeah.
I've heard some people they're like, yeah, there is no local scene.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, which like, oh man, that sucks. Like
but
live
then you look
music's
at
like my favorite, you know?
yeah, me too. And then you look at states like Florida and Texas, and that's like a breeding ground for incredible music, and it's like, wow,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Hmm.
Now, I heard from somebody that you're a pretty big horror movie fan, so.
Yeah.
Th
Yeah.
this year has been a gigantic year for horror. I just saw the movie Werewolves in the theater last week. It just came
Nice.
out. It's probably one of my favorites of the year. But I want to ask you, if you could pick your favorite release of this year as far as the horror genre goes, can you narrow it down or is it really difficult?
Oh, it's really difficult to choose between two.
Oh,
There's
okay.
Terrifier 3. I love that movie. It's just
Hmm.
goofy, it's fun, it's like nuts. And then The Substance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was like I think the first time I've like stood up and like gasped like in a theater and just been like, what is happening? You know? Like the last 20 minutes of that movie, I was like,
Dude, I was like one of two people in the theater when that happened, and we were sitting on the opposite ends of the theater too. So the whole time, like while that's happening, I was like, man, this guy probably thinks I'm a sick fuck for sitting during this movie. Wait, what does that say about them?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
no,
crazy.
it's just it's nuts.
The Immaculate is probably my favorite movie of the year. I know people that
Nice.
my friends are probably sick of me talking about that damn movie, but like I had never heard of Sydney Sweeney. Like I never watched Euphoria or anything like that she was in
Yeah.
before. So like that was my first time ever seeing her act, and I was like, holy shit, she's incredible. Like she
Yeah.
and the fact that she that was like her project all entire like she produced it. It was her
Oh,
like
I didn't know that. That's
oh
cool.
yeah. She like bought the treatment for it, like this like the concept because it was something that she was pitched like years ago.
Hmm.
Um, and then she bought the rights to it or something like that, and then she just decided to produce it herself.
That's
It was
incredible.
so good.
Yeah, dude, I need to see that. Because I did hear great things about it.
See,
Yeah.
Nate and I we talk about horror a lot. Like that's probably
Yeah.
what we bond about the most is horror. We actually did a video in October, like our favorite underrated horror movies. But I want to ask you, like, is there a certain subgenre that's like your all-time favorite? And to that point also, is there like a subgenre that like you don't care for?
It's kind of hard. For me, it's just more or less is the movie good, you know? There's just something interesting there because like I'm all over the place. I love just like slashers like Terrifier. Like if I guess like if I had to pick my two favorite horror movies, it'd be like Terrifier franchise and like
Mm.
Hereditary. You know, so like one's like super artsy, one's just like gory fun, you
Yeah.
know? Like those are my favorites. Scream's right behind you. That's a favorite of mine.
Yep.
Love that movie. I even like some of the just depraved ones too. You know, I just watched Inside too, another French movie.
I have
That
seen
one was
that one.
messed up. Yeah, that was crazy. The end, I was like, oh, it's like, what's happening?
Yeah, that's one of those annual watches that I reserve that for December because I can only watch it once a year and like that's my quota because like
Yeah,
it's too messed up for me. Um,
yeah,
but like you get like I love this time of year because like you have Thanksgiving now, the Eli Roth Thanksgiving.
yeah.
Blood Rage, Thanksgiving, and then you get into the holiday like Christmas, and there's a million Christmas horror movies.
Hmm.
Like Black Christmas, Christmas Evil, Gremlins.
Yeah.
I had somebody come at me. They're like, Gremlins isn't a horror movie. I'm like, look, dude, there's monsters. They kill
Yeah.
people.
People, it's a horror movie. Is it campy? Yeah, it's goofy, but it's still a horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, how did you get into horror? Did you kind of find it on your own, or was it something that like a family member or a friend showed you?
It's funny. I had to like get forced into it because
Oh.
like when I was like really young, I have an older sister and she was like watching, I think it was Scream 2 with her friends. And like I happened to walk in the living room when Randy got yanked to the van and
Oh.
stabbed, and that like traumatized me. I was like horrified and like I couldn't look at the mask or anything like that. And I was like that through all the way up until like later high school. I was like, nope, I don't do horror, blood, all that stuff. I was like, nope, not at all. And then Scream 4 was hitting theaters, and one of my friends was
Oh.
like, dude, come on, just come see it. And I was like, fine. And then I went and saw it and I'm like, dude, I loved it. I was like obsessed. And then I went on a binge of like every horror movie like I could like get my hands on. So like it
Um,
was kind of fun to just have that like 180.
oh yeah. Well, I kind of had a similar experience. Like I was a complete wuss when I was younger. I was scared very, very easily, and my family members can attest to that. Um, but for some reason, like I saw Jaws when I was 7, and it scared the bejesus out of me, but I was also really intrigued about it. Like I wouldn't go swimming anymore, but I was like, wait, I kind of want to watch a movie again. Can we watch a movie
Yeah.
again? And then the same thing happened with Gremlins. I was 8, and like my mom was worried that it would be like too scary for us, even at that age. I was like,
Yeah.
no, it didn't scare me, but I was like, it. I could see how it could scare people like younger than me, but I was like, no, I want to watch that again. And it it literally was my mom's worst fear because she's like, I don't want this to be a movie that you're like obsessed with and that you want to watch over and over again. I don't want you to be into these types of movies routinely. And that's exactly what happened. Um, but yeah, I mean, I feel like horror is just like that. It's a lot like rock and metal music. It's like real and it's very
Yeah.
authentic. And obviously there's a lot of overlap. Like you look at Scream and the soundtracks and everything. It's like
Hmm.
it's all rock music. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and when it comes to like mixing the two together, like obviously you have the Misfits and Wednesday 13 and Ice Nine Kills now. Did you ever listen to like stuff like that, where they like bridge the gap between the both of them?
I've definitely been into anything that has like a scary sort of like
Mhm.
soundscape, that kind of thing. I'm super into all that. Actually, there's a content bit I'm working to post for later this week where I have like a bunch of horror sound design, like just
Oh
like behind the
shit.
riffs and shit. It's gonna be stupid. I can't wait.
Oh God,
But
I can't wait to see it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, my friend hit me up. He's like, "You want to do a 12 verse of Christmas?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I'm gonna get real done with it. Sorry." The caveman riffs and horror sounds. But yeah, I've never like thought out a band, I guess, that was like horror related that I can like think of.
Mm,
But I definitely like see the overlap.
yeah.
Um, dude, I'm kind of curious, like, can you name any horror movies that just like completely rocked your world? Like when you saw them, you were like horrified or just like, I don't know, just had some sort of like effect on you.
Um, okay, so this is always a hard question for me to answer because like I have a friend who's like I'm like his go-to when he's like, I want a movie that's gonna mess me up. Like, what's the scariest movie you've
Yeah.
seen? And I have a hard time answering it because like I haven't really been scared since I saw Jaws when I was 7. But
Oh,
like
okay. Yeah.
I will say I didn't get this is probably a hot take, but I didn't enjoy Hereditary, but it definitely like when I left the theater, it left this weird feeling with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, this movie, I hated it. I was so angry when I saw it. I was like, this
Oh,
movie,
really?
like now after like going to film school and everything, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see the value in it, and I can tell like there's
Yeah.
like the merit that went into actually making it, but I'm like, no, this is not for me. Um,
Yeah.
but that one left an impression on me. Immaculate left an impression on me. The last 10 minutes of that movie, like I saw it in the middle of the day. I was off of work and um I was it was still daylight when I walked out of the theater and I was like, what do I do? Like what am I supposed to do with my life after seeing
Yeah.
that? It like completely messed up my whole mood um for for good reason. I mean, it was such a good movie. The substance that that was one that was like, okay,
It's
what the
crazy.
fuck? I
Yeah.
literally, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
So like there's stuff that like to that point it's like very visually shocking, like the Terrifier movies.
Hmm.
I I was a freshman in college when the first one hit Netflix, and I watched it a couple times. I was telling everybody on my floor about it. I'm like, this is such a good movie, blah 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 blah. So my roommate, I told him about it. I'm like, bro, you gotta watch this movie. So one night I come back. I was visiting home and I come back. He's like, yeah, we're probably gonna watch Terrifier tonight. So he grabs like three friends and we're all crammed into our dorm watching it. And then when the hacksaw scene comes up,
Yeah, it's
they're all looking
crazy.
at me. They're like, what the fuck, Chris? Um, but yeah, as far as like there's a lot of visually shocking stuff I've seen, but nothing that like
Yeah.
shook me the way that Jaws did when I was so young.
Yeah.
Has there been any like that that have hit you that way recently?
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you brought up Hereditary. That's like one of the biggest ones for me.
I'm
Yeah, I just remember
sorry.
like it was the same thing where like I left that movie and it's just like, dude, I don't know. I just like I didn't want to be like in the dark or whatever like that. I've never not even like that with movies or anything, but I was just like, and I think it was the way they conveyed like the emotions and stuff in that movie too, because like
Yeah.
I haven't seen like a movie depict grief and stuff like that. Like when I go back and watch it, like Toni Colletti's performance, like projecting her grief with a child, it's like that is like the worst part of that movie. I was like, that's terrifying, you know?
Yeah, that was definitely the part that stuck out to me the most of that movie too.
Yeah. Brave Encounters, I actually it's not a new movie, but like I watched it recently for the first time. And
Mm.
like that one just like conceptually kind of toyed with my head. So expecting just like goofy, like, Ghost Adventures, like spoofish kind of thing. And I was like, oh, that kind of like toyed with my brain a little bit.
See, I really like horror comedies like Hatchet. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Dude, I need to see it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, it's a lot like Scream where it's like very funny. Well, okay. I think it's a little more like humorous and comedic than Scream. It's kind of like American
Yeah.
Werewolf in London where they really lean into the comedy, but it's also
Hmm.
like when it comes to like the kills, they are gruesome. So like when
Yeah.
you get both extremes like that, it's really fun. Um
Yeah.
and like I had this problem. I've talked about this before. Like when I was younger, like even before I saw Jaws, I had this irrational fear of werewolves. And like I was terrified that I was gonna get bit by one or that one was gonna kill me or something. I don't even remember. It's been so long, it's just a part of my brain at this point. So like when Goosebumps was a thing, when they were showing reruns on TV and The Werewolf of Fever Swamp was one of the ones on TV, I was like, I read the book and the book scared the hell out of me. I was like, well,
Yeah.
I gotta watch it on TV because I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And that probably got me worse than Jaws did. I had nightmares for
Yeah.
weeks. That is the only time I can vividly remember actually running to my parents' room in the middle of the night, like bawling my eyes out because I was so scared. And
Yeah.
to this day, a lot of the time, if I watch a new werewolf movie, it's obviously not as extreme as it was when I was like fucking 5 years old. But
Yeah.
when I watch a new werewolf movie now, I still have that like a little bit of unease. Even when I know what I'm getting myself into, I'm like, I want to see this movie. When like the music kicks in and like they really lean into the suspense, I'm like, okay. I shouldn't be feeling anxious right now, but I am, and I blame 6-year-old me. It's all his fault.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's just like when something scares you like that as a kid, there's like I don't know if you call it just trauma, whatever, but it's just like kind of stuck in the back of your head because even now, like when I watch Scream, like I know it's like satire, whatever, but like sometimes when Ghostface pops up, there's that little thing in the back of my head that's like, whoa.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
That was it was really big when I was really young. Like I think the earliest I can remember was like it was before I started school, so I was like had to have been 3 or 4, and I still lived like on a military base, and so like I knew all the kids basically, but every
Hmm.
Halloween they all dressed up as Ghostface, and I was too young, obviously, to know what that was. Like it was from a movie, so
Yeah.
and I didn't even know it was a character that like killed people. I was just scared of the mask.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
So
creepy looking.
yeah, so I had a really bad like thing with that too, especially when they had the bloody ones where like you would squeeze it and the blood would come
Yeah.
out. Oh my God, that would get me so bad. I was like, no, I can't look at it.
Yeah.
So, but I
Yeah.
saw Scream 2 when I was 14 and may, maybe 13 or 14, and I saw it on TV. And it was like the scene where Sarah Michelle Gellar gets like thrown off the balcony. It was like
Oh, yep.
right when that came on. And then you have Everclear playing right after she dies. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this movie's amazing."
Yeah, you're like, oh, this is sick.
Yeah. And then from then on I binged watched all of them, and it's it's my favorite slasher series. Hatchet is close, obviously, and now
Hmm.
Terrifier. Terrifier's done amazing things with these
Yeah.
movies. Um, but I also grew up with the Universal monsters because like I part of me getting into the genre was trying to start from the beginning. And I also
Hmm.
knew they wouldn't be as scary as the movies coming out then, like now.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, and my parents would let me watch them because I was like 9. So I love Dracula, the Wolfman, the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Hmm.
By today's standards, they're obviously not as scary. People probably think they're really cheesy, but like every
Yeah.
year I still have them like on rotation year round. I love the classics.
I went on a binge with some roommates in college because like I had never seen them before that. It was like was it 2017 or something? But my friend he just like got a bunch of them on DVDs, so like the Halloween season that year we just kind of like had them like on rotation, you know. So yeah, that was cool. Have there been any pieces of like music that have kind of like had that scaring effect on you before?
Um, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
I would say like because hmm. There's a couple that come to mind. With like Alice Cooper. I got into him when I was like
Hmm.
11 or 12, and um, that my dad raised me on like Rush and Iron Maiden, but like I found
Hmm.
bands like Blue Oyster Cult and Alice Cooper on my own. So I was like going on Google, like trying to find out how many songs this dude made, because at the time he was already well in his career, and
Yeah.
so I would hear people talk about like the best way to listen to this song is with all the lights off and it's pitch black outside, and like just listen to it,
Yep.
just have it playing. So I would do that. And I was like, it can't be that effective. And then it was it was something from the Welcome to My Nightmare album, and then also a song of his called Formerly Warmer, that not a lot of people probably know about. And I was like, man, they were right. It's effective.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
also, I think hmm, probably probably the one that got the biggest reaction out of me was um Kinderfeld by Marilyn Manson from
Oh, okay.
the
Yep.
anything from the Antichrist Superstar album that's like really experimental, like Crypt Orchid or Kinderfeld
Hmm.
or like any of that side of that album. I listened to the whole album like when it was like the middle of the night, and I was like 12, and I was like, yeah, this might have been, and that was at the time where that was like pushing the musical limits for me, like my tolerance for like heaviness and dark music. So I was like, I think I might have hit my point with this.
Yeah.
But but now I love it. Like I I love that album. So I get
Yeah.
it worked wonders in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
What about you?
I actually like I asked because I like recently had like I think like one of my first experiences like
Oh,
that. I don't know if you're dude, my friends are probably so sick of me talking about it, but I recently got into Ethel Kane. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her.
I know the name.
She's kind of like in the indie-ish sort of space,
Hmm.
but she's got this album Preacher's Daughter that like I heard one of the songs on it and I was like, "Oh, this is cool. I'm a sucker for like ballads, indie things, pretty vocals and stuff." And so I looked up the album and like there's one of the songs is called August Underground and like I've seen those movies and like just hearing the pretty song I was like, "Wait, what's this album about?" And I look up a track by track and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I listened to it and like it gets to like later on the album and I feel like it's like you get to like the song Ptolemy, and like that's like the first song that I was just like straight up uncomfortable listening to it. Yeah, no, it was the first time where like because like I had watched movies like August Underground where like I finished them, I was like, I feel like I bit off more than I can chew. And then like
Yep.
by the end of that, I was just like, I kind of feel the same right now.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I remember like now it's like music and stuff like any form of media really it hits like from an emotional perspective, not like from fear, obviously, but like when I look back to like when I was younger, I'm like, oh man,
Hmm.
yeah, I was scared of a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy. Um, Now, is that a topic that you guys would probably explore in your music? Because I know like you pro in just in this EP you talk about like real life issues like what you see on the news and domestic
Hmm.
issues and stuff like that. And in a way you kind of touch on stuff like anxiety and fear and depression.
Hmm.
Um, would that be something that you would continue to lean into, maybe even more so in future releases?
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah.
like our bread and butter right there. Some of the stuff that we wrote recently too, it just like it leans super hard into some uncomfortable sort of feelings, you
Oh,
know?
perfect.
Yeah, which I'm just like we wrote a breakdown that kind of has that like kind of sort of like whoa kind of vibe, like scary-ish almost. We were like laughing, staring at each other. We're like, Jesus, dude.
Did we really just do this?
Yeah.
I
But
love
that's the
that.
fun part, even like for us writing stuff, not even just like for the audience, just like a curveball just for ourselves. I'm just like, whoa.
Oh man, yeah, that I imagine that's always a really fun feeling, especially when it's like in the moment where like you guys are in the same room together too. Because I imagine
Yeah.
some of that effect is probably lost remotely.
Yeah, it can be like that, but I mean, a lot of our writing we have done, or at least like this year onward, we've done like with each other. So like the one we just did over the weekend, it was both Haley and I up there. So like, but yeah, that's kind of fun. Like, so you have those cool moments where like something just comes together, and then like that breakdown, we're just like red faced, like almost laughing because we're just like, oh my God, dude.
I really want to ask you this as a bass player because I know in today's music, like just the guitars alone are tuned so low. So a lot of people
Yeah,
like have that argument like, oh, bassists, just the instrument of the bass is kind of obsolete in today's music. You even have some bands that don't even have live bass players anymore.
yeah,
But as a bass player yourself, I feel like you can attest to like how important the instrument is. So when you hear
yeah.
arguments like that, how does that number one, how does that make you feel? And what's your typical response to that?
So I mean, if you ask me, bass is crucial. 'Cause, I mean, even if like the fundamental note that you're tuning to, the harmonic structure and everything that makes up the tone and whatnot, and where it sits in a mix is completely different between the two. I mean, there are songs where we have a few that we've tuned down to C0,
Hmm.
like on bass. It's like pretty much unintelligible, you can't hear it kind of thing. But like, but we'll also play in unison with the guitars, and like in a mix frequency wise, they'll sit in a different spot. The guitars are going to sit in a higher register and you'll EQ them so they sit there, and the bass will have more of those lower frequencies to fill out that spot in the mix. And so like we'll track bass in unison to do that. And then we'll also track bass an octave lower in C0 because it's dumb. But then you'll actually carve out low end and let like the top end and the harmonics of that sit out because that's what sounds weird and gross. So like yeah, I wouldn't say like bass is obsolete or anything. And like some bands will like backtrack bass live. I mean, to be honest, I don't like have an issue with that. Like I know there's a lot of logistics that just like come with that. You know,
Yeah.
if you're a smaller band and touring and you don't have a solidified basis, like why spend all that money? Like if it doesn't make sense, you know?
Hmm.
But like, you know, a lot of the times there's someone who still performed it on the album, you know, higher gun or something like that. But no, I think like bass is a crucial instrument. I know it's not like the coolest one or anything, but I'll tell you what, I'm actually a converted guitarist. I picked up bass for Gore.
Oh.
Dude, way more fun live. Cause like, I mean, like, there's just like more room for error, I guess. I don't know. With guitar, I'm like worried about muting stuff and everything and
Yep.
whatnot. But with bass, like, it's a little easier to like, I guess, mute the strings and I can just like hammer it, flail around and whatnot. And like, I mean, there's give and takes too, because like playing like fast stuff and whatnot on bass is like it's a challenge. You know, I've had
Yep.
to practice a lot of it, you know, to like try to get that stuff clean to play live. But like there is like the benefit of like, dude, I can just hammer this thing, you know, and, like swinging around and like I don't know, like it's they're just like different things, and I feel like it doesn't get flagged 'cause it's not like the flashy cool thing. But like, man, like I mean, if your band has bassists and like drummers, like if your band has like a good one, like it's gonna make a world of a difference because there's like 2 billion incredible guitarists out there,
Yeah.
you know, and like having a great bassist or drummer or anything. I'm not calling myself a great bassist either, like,
I think
but
you're pretty good.
yeah, I mean, like good enough. Like I can play our songs. Like that's all I need to do, you
Yeah.
know. But the argument that it's like obviously because people are playing the same notes, like it's just I think it's an ill-informed argument, you know, because like they're gonna sit different in a mix and everything like that, you know.
Yeah.
Like they even if you're in the same octave fundamental, like the fundamental note, like they hold a different spot. Because like you take any of those bands that are playing that low and you take the bass out of the mix, it's gonna sound like garbage. There's gonna be no body to it. There's nothing gonna be like hit you in the chest, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you've seen it on YouTube, but like I see videos all the time of like taking songs like with the bass and then playing it without the bass. And a
Yeah.
popular examples are like Metallica, Iron Maiden, and
Hmm.
it's like oh yeah, there's a big difference.
Yeah.
And when I
And
was
like,
younger, oh, go ahead.
oh, oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say when I was younger, like I didn't really appreciate or even know what the bass sounded like until I was introduced to Rush and Geddy Lee as a bassist. He's a god amongst musicians. Um, so like that was really eye-opening for me. And th it was at that point I was like, maybe I want to play bass. I don't know, because everyone always wants to play drums or guitar, and I definitely went through those
Yeah.
phases too. Then once I started playing guitar, I'm like, no, I don't like this. There's the strings are too thin. And
Yeah.
then I was in a music store and I saw a bass. I was like, oh, there's only four and they're thick. Maybe I can do
Yeah.
that. And then I was listening to Rush with my dad. He's like, yeah, that's the bass. I was like, what? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? And then so I made the mistake of trying to learn the Rush songs as soon as I bought my first bass. And I was like, no, I can't do this.
This might be way far out hippie-ish or something, but I wonder if there's like a psychological sort of like effect to like why people like gravitate towards guitar
Mm,
and whatnot. Because like we evolved to hear like human speech and whatnot, and that sits in that same frequency register that like a guitar would and whatnot.
hmm.
It's like I wonder if that's why people might be immediately drawn to that because your ear kind of hunts for that first, you
Yeah.
know? And maybe that's why like that lower stuff or ultra high stuff maybe it's kind of like that's not like our immediate go-to, you know?
I
I
think
don't
you're
know.
onto
That might
something.
be like super far out, but I'm just like, I don't know. Is there like a psychology there? I don't
I don't know.
know.
I've never thought about it like that, but now that you bring it up, I'm like, no, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I've always thought about that too. It's like why everybody always wants to like learn guitar. Like, yes, it's a cool
Yeah.
instrument and it sounds awesome. Like, I remember the first time I heard a band with electric guitars and it changed my life. But
Hmm.
like, once you like learn, like, there's more instruments than just guitars and vocals. It's like, oh, there's
Yeah.
endless possibilities.
Oh
And
yeah.
I also I like the bass because, like you said, it's kind of like foundational and like
Hmm.
structurally, but also like I don't know. I always prefer to like, contrary to like me doing these interviews and being on camera all the time, but I love being behind the scenes and like being behind like the camera or like just being in the background of things. And that's kind of how the bass is,
Yeah.
for what its role is, and I feel like it just fits my personality type the most. Um,
Yeah.
so
No, I
that's
mean,
another psychological point.
yeah. No, I mean, I totally get that because like I actually come from like shredder death metal. That was like my guitar background and like I mean, I love all that stuff. Like
Oh
don't get
yeah.
me wrong, but like it's been kind of cool to like take a different role. In a sense, there's kind of less pressure that I'm just like I'm not worried about doing the most nuts riff all the time, you know, but like I'm just focused on making things sound huge. And like to me that's like it's been super fun to just like sit in those shoes, you know.
Oh yeah. I imagine live, like I can already picture you kind of like Tuck from Fit for a King and you're just spinning
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the time.
We were joking like our band chat, like someone's it might have been Haley that sent me one of his videos and she's like, yeah, do this. And I was like, yes. It's like, well, when we get on a bigger stage, because dude, there's a we might have it on video. There's a couple times where like, dude, I almost took Haley out swinging
Oh.
it or swinging it around and like moving around and stuff. And I was like, sorry.
See, I can imagine like if you came to the place here in Jacksonville, Hooligans, like it's a 700 750 cap venue, but the ceiling is kind of close to the stage. So I feel like if you were to do that, aside from possibly taking out one of your members, you might take out the ceiling.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's another possibility. But it's like you said, seeing his videos, and it's like, yeah, well, he's in an amphitheater or he's at House of
Yeah.
Blues. Like he can afford to like risk it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Like I
But there's
definitely
also
want,
the
yeah.
there's also the question of like the sh how reliable is the strap? That's my
Yeah.
biggest
Oh,
concern.
yeah. Like, maybe so you get strap lots and whatnot, but like, hopefully it doesn't like strip and come out of it, you know?
Oh.
But I mean, well, I don't know. I guess you just like trust it and hope the show will go on, you know, whatever. If something happens. I don't know if you ever watched a funeral portrait live and
Oh.
Caleb's got the space, dude,
Mhm.
Caleb will take his guitar and just
Dude,
swing that thing around. And that's like,
I
it's so fun.
I saw him open. I saw them open for Marilyn Manson in Silver Spring, Maryland
Oh,
over the summer.
you went to that. Nice.
Oh yeah. That was that was such a crazy show. Like I could talk about that show for hours, but I a big reason I made the drive because it's like with the traffic that it took, it turned out to be a 7 hour drive. But a big reason I made that drive, other than growing up listening to Manson, was that the funeral portrait was on the lineup. I was like, look,
Hmm.
I've been loving them for years. Every time they've played Jacksonville, I can never make it. My first time is going to be 4 states away seeing them.
Yeah.
It just made perfect sense with like my luck and everything. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And
Yeah.
I
Well,
was
see, man,
right.
the horror thing and everything too, that's like that's
Oh
just so
yeah.
your bread and butter, you know?
And I was right on Caleb's side of the stage too. Like we were kind of in the center but off to the left. So I was like right in front of Caleb the whole time. So while he's
Nice.
doing that at the end of the set, I'm like, I'm gonna get my teeth taken out. Like
Yeah.
and I was in like the seventh row too, but I was so scared of that strap coming
Yeah,
undone.
just ching.
I was like, yep, I'm gonna die tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, he's an animal up there. Yeah,
Oh
he was real
yeah.
encouraging for us, like, because they helped us out a lot when we were getting started and whatnot too, just general advice for the band and whatnot, outside of just like helping, you know, write, produce.
Oh, that's
Like
awesome.
he was just like, hey, he was like stuff like ours, there people aren't there to like watch you play the cool riffs. Like straight up, there's a lot of our stuff is just quarter notes. Who cares? But like you got to put on a show to do that. And I was like, oh okay. And like so like I've seen him live a couple times now. And I was just like felt like just taking mental notes. I was like, okay, like try to find new places to move and everything. And then honestly, for me, like I'm just like I don't know if it's the ADHD or something, but I was just like a burst of energy when I hit the stage, anyways, that I like could not be contained. You know?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
dude,
I
it's so fun. I like
well,
making people play my bass and stuff. Oh yeah, because like Heaven Above Me has like those big hits or whatever at the end.
I
So
was
like I
just
was
gonna
just,
mention that.
yeah, I just like I pointed at my friend in the crowd. I was like, "You." I was like, when the notes come, hit it. And he's like, oh, okay. Smacked it. And then other guy in the crowd was like, he like hopped in. It was fun.
That's amazing. Um, that's another funny point. Like it, because as a band kid, I always had like a adrenaline shot before like a concert. Playing lead trumpet in a jazz band is extremely exhausting.
Whoa. Yeah.
But like doing it like for high school, like every time the concert would start, I was like so jittery because I was so excited.
hmm
And I get that way with interviews too, like in case you couldn't tell, like,
Yeah.
um, and I kind of get that same like shot of when I was boxing in college. I had that same adrenaline shot. So like when you're about to play a show like a metal show, I can't imagine what that energy burst is like. Because like I get it as an audience member, even though I'm like completely monotone facially and like I probably look like I'm having the worst time, but it's the exact
Yeah.
opposite.
Oh, you're jazzed. Well, I feel like
Yeah,
that too. I kind of have like the resting bitch face thing and whatnot too. But like when I'm watching a show, I'm like, I'm in it, you know?
yeah. I'm I'm retired from moshing, but like the
Oh,
spirit
same.
is there.
Yeah, I got a gnarly concussion last year, so I'm a balcony boy now.
Oh, you're bougie.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I got a gnarly concussion. I'm still dealing with effects from. So I'm just
Who'd
like,
you
yeah,
who'd you see?
I was loath.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah, I went up like to the pit. They just tracked the hardcore crowd and took a knee to the side of the head.
See, at that Manson show, Slaughter to Prevail was direct support, and I was,
Oh.
yeah. I literally told myself, I'm like, look, if I, depending on how close I can get when we first get into the venue, I might have to come out of Mosh retirement to squeeze my way to the front for Manson. I was so lucky I didn't have to do that. And I ended up moving
Yeah.
to the back for Manson anyway, because everyone around me was so loud I couldn't hear him. But
Oh,
like
yeah.
I kept looking behind me. I'm like, dude, somebody's not breathing. Like how is
Yeah.
this going on?
Dude,
Um, it's crazy.
yeah, dude, those bands are nuts now. I saw Knocked Loose not that long ago, and I was like front or second row balcony for that one. But that was kind of cool because I was watching the wall of death from above. I was like, holy
Oh,
shit, dude. It's like no wonder I got my shit rocked. I was like, this stuff's nuts.
the only band I saw from the balcony was Pierce the Veil. And
Oh,
I
sick,
was
dude.
so far up in the balcony that like I could barely even see the stage. I had to like look
Oh yeah, you're
down.
like in the nosebleeds, like
Yeah, well,
yeah.
it was the True Power tour, the I Prevail tour. So it was Stand Atlantic, Fit for a King, them, then I Prevail, and that was like their first tour since the pandemic, and
Yeah.
so like a lot of people were there for Pierce the Veil, and I knew that. I didn't realize how like loud their fans were. Um, because like we were in the pit for Stand Atlantic. They were like one of the biggest reasons I went to that show. Then Fit for a King, we were like at that back bar area because it was House of Blues.
hmm
Um, then we moved up to the balcony for Pierce the Veil because I'm like, I don't know where's the best place to be for this, but I don't want to be in this bar anymore. So we went upstairs and the closest we had was like the nosebleeds, and I could barely hear the band. It was like everyone
Yeah.
around me was so into it.
So loud.
It was
Yeah.
cool though. It was really cool. Um, but seeing the pit for Fit for a King was incredible too.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I just had a recent experience seeing The Plot in You for the first time. I've always heard of them for like 10 years, never really checked them out until they came to Jacksonville and I saw them. And as I was taking like I did the typical photographer thing, first three songs, then get out. And
hmm
so I'm in the very back and I'm looking. I've never seen so many crowd surfers at a show. I
Yeah.
was like, I was like, I'm so glad I'm in the back. I don't have to worry about these people.
I had an experience like that where Drain opened for Knock Loose. And like, I don't know if you're familiar with them at all,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, their vocals is like, I want to see the most crowd surfers I've ever seen in my life. And like, dude, 100 people. No, okay, it must have gone up. Like, dude, it was just a constant sea of people going over. I got a video of it somewhere. I have to shoot it over to you, but I was just like, oh my God,
Dude.
dude.
to that point, then, with 2024 kind of coming to a close and everyone's talking about Spotify Wrapped, I use Apple Music personally.
Hmm.
As going away from like the studio side and to the live show, like what shows have you seen this year that are like the highlights of the year for you? Because I've heard a lot of people say like Knocked Loose is like the best show they've ever seen. So I'm really
Hmm.
curious for to hear some of your highlights of the year.
Oh, my favorites. Yeah, not Knock Loose for sure up there. I saw them twice this year. Let's see. Sleep Token, that was
Oh,
incredible show. That was awesome. I caught Ethel Cain's Lollapalooza after party. That was pretty cool. Oh man, those are probably like my top three. If I had to narrow it down to three, it's
I
probably
like
those.
that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
really good.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, there's been a lot. There's been a lot of cool shows this year,
Yeah.
but kind of like forgetting everything I went to earlier this year. But
It all kind of blurs together.
yeah, it just kind of all blurs.
it's a lot like horror movies. It's like it's been such a great
Yeah.
year for horror and for concerts, and I've seen so many of both. It's like really
Hmm.
hard to narrow it down. Especially
Yeah.
like I'm sure it's different for you as a musician also. And like for me, like the times I get to like photograph these bands or interview them before the show, like that's a whole other experience in itself. So that kind of
Yeah.
adds to the like the highlight factor for me. Like one of my favorite shows was like it was here in Jacksonville and it was Deadlands and it was them and Renaissance and
Yeah. Yep.
dude, Renaissance is
I
incredible.
did. David's such a great guy.
Oh yeah, he's really cool.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
talked to him after the show. I was like, bro, how can you still talk right now?
Yeah.
And Casey, I interviewed her. It was like before the show. Like the local support was playing by the time we were done, and like she was under the weather, like she was getting over being sick, and she still was okay with like doing the interview with me. I wasn't feeling my best either because I was severely dehydrated and my brain was
Yeah.
not working. I was like, man. This is probably not like the best interview I could have done, but like she was such a cool person.
Hmm.
So it was a great experience like talking with her and then meeting the rest of the band after the show. And then the performance that they put on stage was amazing in itself. I think about like the big shows I've seen, like I saw the Creed reunion tour. Um,
Dude.
yeah,
Oh, I'm so jealous. That's so sick.
I'm a divorced father at heart. I saw that. I saw Everclear in Virginia Beach, and I that was like my first like official like photo pass show because I had just
Yeah.
gotten a still camera like right before then. It was a free show too, and it was like right on the Virginia Beach boardwalk. So like getting to hear a song like Santa Monica right on the beach was like super cool.
That's sick.
And then of course, like I think nothing this year can top the Manson show, just with having the funeral portrait there and everything going on with Manson and him looking and sounding better than ever.
Hmm.
That was a life achievement, finally being able to see him live at that level, especially.
Yeah.
Um, Sebastian Bach, the voice of Skid Row, I saw him.
Oh shit.
He came to
Nice.
Jacksonville. He played Welcome to Rockville on like Sunday, and then he came to Jacksonville that Tuesday. It was his first show after Rockville. I was like, never in my life did I think I would see this man live, let alone in my hometown.
Hmm.
Um,
Dude, that's sick.
oh, dude, it was incredible. Saint Asonia was really cool too, because it was, Adam Gontier from 3 Days Grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the shows earlier in the year kind of like there were so many. But next year, I'll tell you what, next year's looking really cool too, because I'm seeing Alice Cooper again for the third time.
Nice.
Welcome to Rockville. I've never been to a festival before, so might as well just go to the biggest one in the country. But yeah, I'm very excited for 2025. And I'm excited to see what you guys do in 2025. Like I'm hoping I'm able to see you guys live too.
Oh yeah, same. I hope we like make it to this nook of the country, Be cool. I hope we do like a full US sort of thing sometime
Oh,
next year. Yeah, that would be sick. We can hop on something like that.
yeah, I'm sure we could talk for hours just about different things. But for this go around, as far as what I had prepared, that was everything that I had for you. Was there any closing message to any Gore fans watching or anything you want to plug, anything like that?
Just I appreciate everyone, listening and whatnot, just giving us a chance and yeah, keep your eyes peeled for shows next year. A little advertisement right now. We do got merch and all that good stuff. So if you want to do that, we got merch and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, yeah, just keep your eyes peeled for new music, more shows. We got lots of things up the sleeves. People are gonna love.
Big things coming soon, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those are my big things coming statement.
I feel that. I feel like I live in a constant state of big things coming soon.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that.
Dude, that's what this trajectory's been like. I'm like, oh God, how many big things posts do I have to make? People are like, yeah, okay, whatever, dude.
This has been a really fun time. I appreciate you taking the time. I know your publicist and I, we didn't talk about like a time frame. So to
Mhm.
go like an hour and a half is a lot of fun and it means a lot that you take the
Yeah.
time. So thank you for
Mhm.
that. And congratulations on the EP and all the success this year too.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, I was just psyched to be here. I love just chit-chatting and whatnot, Like this
Oh yeah.
this was awesome.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
to everybody watching, thank you for watching. Keep an eye on everything Gore has coming up because they're going to take over 2025. I just know it. And until the next interview, stay tuned, stay scared, and I'll catch you later.